First contact, final warning. The Carthari War College loomed over the jagged cliffs of Zartek Ridge like a sleeping predator, cold, proud, and scarred from centuries of conquest. Ambassador Rhea Morgan stood at its gates, flanked by 2 Carthari ceremonial guards in bone-white armor. She felt their eyes on her, studying her, measuring her, deciding if she was prey. Rhea straightened her back. She wore the formal blue of Earth's diplomatic corps, but underneath it lay titanium-threaded armor and a reinforced spine, military implants hidden behind velvet words. She hadn't come to start a fight, but if one came to her, she would end it. The gates hissed open. A towering Carthari officer approached, emerald-scaled and narrow-eyed. His armor bore the sigil of House Drekken, one of the oldest and most war-hardened bloodlines. Commander Vrelk bowed stiffly. Ambassador Morgan, welcome to the cradle of Carthari warriors. Thank you, Rhea replied evenly. It's an honor to walk in a place so steeped in tradition. His lip curled. We do not give honors. We earn them. He turned and marched through the archway without waiting. Rhea followed, boots echoing on the obsidian floor. The interior was a brutalist marvel, steel walls, weapon racks, and banners stitched with battle glory. Carthari cadets sparred in the courtyard, their snarls audible even through thick glass. It was here, Vrelk said, that our finest were taught to kill humans long before your species earned our respect. Then it's fitting, Rhea said, that it becomes the place we begin unlearning that. Vrelk stopped. Unlearning who we are is not peace. It is submission. A chill crept down her spine. This wasn't just cultural resistance. This was personal. She softened her tone. I didn't come to dishonor your people, Commander. I came to help both of ours survive. Survival favors the strong. And strength, Rhea said quietly, isn't always a clenched fist. He led her down a corridor, deeper into the facility. The escorting guards fell behind. Her internal HUD flickered, scrambled briefly. Jammed. She tapped her temple once, subtle. No signal. That was her first warning. The second came too late. They entered a wide hall that resembled an arena. The lights dimmed suddenly. A heavy door slammed shut behind her. Rhea turned, fists clenched. Vrelk stood still, watching her like a predator with no need to hurry. You were a soldier once, he said. They say you ended the siege of Archon 4 with a sniper round and a ceasefire. I did what I had to do. Then you understand why I must do the same. He raised his hand. A blast hit her shoulder. Another seared through her abdomen. The third cracked a rib, and the next 4 came rapid fire, precision shots meant to incapacitate, not kill instantly. Rhea collapsed to one knee, blood flooding her lungs, her cybernetics flaring alarms. Her vision blurred. Vrelk stepped close, crouching. We will tell your people it was an accident, a training mishap. The galaxy will mourn, and we will harden. He stood and walked away. Rhea lay, gasping, pain blooming across her body like wildfire. Her diplomatic badge blinked, then dimmed. Silence fell. She reached for her belt, found the emergency stim injector. Her fingers shook. She jammed it into her thigh. Her chest heaved as the serum surged into her bloodstream, slowing the bleed, dulling the pain. She didn't scream. She didn't call for help. She remembered. Boots on wet sand. Blood on her face. The weight of a fallen comrade. The mission didn't end with pain. It started with it. Her eyes narrowed. They shot her 7 times. They thought that would end it. They had no idea what they had just started. The body forgets, but she remembers. Pain was a drumbeat in her skull. Slow, relentless, alive. Rhea Morgan awoke in darkness, her mouth full of copper. The cold floor pressed against her cheek. Somewhere above, Carthari boots echoed down the hall, receding. They thought she was dead, or dying. Close enough. Her right eye flickered online. Red HUD data crawling across the dimming edges of her vision. Damage reports screamed for attention. Collapsed lung, shredded muscle, spinal microfractures. Her internal systems were in emergency lockdown, drawing power only to essential functions. She'd survived worse. Not by much. With a grunt, she rolled onto her back and groaned. Her fingers found the wall. She pushed herself up, 1 inch at a time, until she was upright, barely, Breathing hurt. Moving hurt more. But the pain told her she was alive, and that was all she needed. Her mind was clear, even if her body wasn't. She was deep inside enemy territory, presumed dead, and cut off from any diplomatic or military support. Her last known signal would have placed her inside the Carthari War College just before her accident. And Earth wouldn't retaliate. Not without proof. Not without bodies. Not without a clean story they could bring before the Galactic Council. They wouldn't come. She reached beneath her blood-stained jacket and pulled the flat square of a hidden med patch from her waistband. It hissed softly as it released stabilizers and nanocoagulants into her system. Not enough to heal, just enough to move. Focus, she whispered, the word raw in her throat. She limped into the shadows, through a side maintenance hatch she'd spotted earlier. Just a glance during the tour, but that's all she'd needed. The passage led down, narrow, rusted, and used. Her fingers brushed against pipes and cables in the dark. She followed the sound of generators until she found what she was looking for. An unused control room, small, dusty, forgotten. Likely used during the war. There was still power. Old terminals flickered as she rerouted a connection through her wrist port. The interface was crude, designed for Carthari claws, not human touch. She bypassed the lockout anyway. Information flooded the screen. Internal comms, training schedules, personnel logs. She scrolled through until she found what she needed. They'd sealed the records of the attack. The official report? Diplomatic envoy injured during unauthorized live-fire demonstration. A quiet lie. A convenient one. Commander Vrelk's signature sealed it. Her fingers trembled as she tapped deeper into the logs. Audio files. Surveillance feeds. She found them. She should have stayed a soldier. Vrelk's voice hissed in the playback. Instead, she became a symbol. Symbols can be shattered. The Earth delegation will demand inquiry, another voice replied. Let them. By the time they do, we'll have secured every council vote we need. They won't risk another war for one dead diplomat. Rhea leaned back in the chair, eyes closed. They weren't just trying to kill her. They were trying to break humanity's position in the sector, cripple Earth's diplomatic credibility, and silence dissent within the Carthari leadership. She was never meant to leave this planet. Her hand balled into a fist. A sharp jolt ran up her arm. The cybernetic tendons beneath her skin groaned in protest. Not from damage, but disuse. She'd spent years in peace, years trying to forget what war had taught her. But her body remembered. She disabled the cameras near the sub-level corridors. She knew how to move without being seen. She knew how to make herself a ghost. If the Carthari government wouldn't tell the truth, she would force them to see it. Not with a transmission. Not with words. With action. She scouted a medical storage room in the East Wing and limped there under cover of darkness. Inside, she found injectable synth skin, a portable exoframe, and pain suppressors. She moved slow, methodical. Each breath was a decision. To give in or get up. She chose to get up, and with every step, she felt something ancient unfurl inside her. Something long buried beneath diplomacy, beneath treaties and protocol. She wasn't just a symbol. She was a message. Steel is my apology. The War College was waking up for another day of indoctrination, but in its shadowed underbelly, Ambassador Rhea Morgan was already moving. Her breathing was steady now, though each step throbbed with pain. The portable exoframe braced her shattered leg, mimicking the rhythm of her stride. Medskin covered the worst of her wounds, but it couldn't mask the fire in her eyes. She wasn't there to survive anymore. She was there to make sure they remembered her. Using old duct maps, she traced her way through service tunnels and auxiliary lifts. The facility's infrastructure hadn't changed much since the Carthari-human conflict. She had fought in places just like this, when her name meant something else entirely. A ghost soldier, the kind of operative governments denied existed. And now, that ghost had come home. She moved in silence through the upper levels, planting signal disruptors in blind zones, knowing where the cameras were, which guards were loyal, and which ones hesitated when they saw her name flash across their reports. They were taught she was dead. Let them choke on that lie. She reached the command training hall, a domed chamber where high-ranking cadets studied military history and war simulation tactics. She waited outside the security hub, watching through the slats as a dozen future officers argued over doctrine and battle strategy. Their words sounded bold, proud. She'd heard similar words before. On Earth, on Vega 9, on Archon 4. Pride always came before truth. She opened the door with a stolen keycard and stepped inside. They froze. Some reached for weapons. Some stared. She let them. Blood still matted her shirt. Her left sleeve was torn from the blast that hit her shoulder. But she stood tall, alive, and that was enough to shatter the illusion. "Sit," she said, her voice like steel dragged across stone. Only one didn't comply. A Carthari cadet with a war crest freshly inked across his neck stepped forward. "You're dead." "Not yet. You're trespassing in a military." Rhea moved before he finished. 2 steps, twist, elbow to throat. He dropped to his knees, gasping. She caught his weapon before it hit the ground. The others backed up. "You've been taught to hate my kind, to fear us, to fight us." She held up the cadet's rifle, then dropped it. "But you've never faced one of us who wasn't holding back." Her words echoed in the quiet room. One cadet trembled. Another lowered her eyes. "Good." She moved toward the control panel. Her fingers danced across the console, bypassing Vrelk's encrypted lockdown and pulling archive security feeds. Footage of her ambush, her bleeding body, her execution order. Then she activated the projector. The holographic feed flickered to life in the center of the room. Carthari voices filled the chamber. Vrelk and his conspirators. "Let them think she died clean. The humans will mourn quietly if we give them dignity. And if she survives, then we finish what we started. And this time, we burn the body." The cadets watched in silence. Some turned pale. Others looked away. One of them whispered, "We didn't know." "You didn't ask," Rhea said coldly. Before they could respond, alarms blared overhead. She cursed under her breath. They knew she was alive now. Really knew. It was time. There was only one path left. She sprinted through the outer hall toward the primary training chamber, a cavernous room used to train Carthari shock troopers in live-fire drills. Reinforced, sealed. Propaganda displays covered the walls, human targets used for practice. That was where she would make her stand. The last door stood between her and it. Heavy. Locked. 6-inch alloy. Meant to hold back riots, insurgents, anything short of a tank. Rhea stared at it. She took a slow breath. Then she screamed, not in pain, but in fury, and planted her boots. Her muscles, enhanced by cybernetics and rage, coiled like a spring. She gripped the reinforced seam with both hands. The exoframe screamed. Her shoulder tore again. Sparks sprayed from her left arm. But the door moved. Once. Twice. Then, with a sound like thunder, it ripped free from the hinges and crashed to the floor. Dust billowed. Inside, a dozen Carthari cadets turned, mouths open in disbelief. She stepped over the ruin of the door, breathing hard, body broken but burning with purpose. "I'm done knocking." The diplomats wore. Smoke drifted through the training chamber, curling around Rhea Morgan like a shroud. Carthari cadets stood frozen, some with weapons half raised, others too stunned to move. No one expected to see her. The dead diplomat, blood-soaked and breathing fury. Rhea raised her voice, calm but unrelenting. "Stand down. I'm not your enemy." A few did. Others didn't. A cadet lunged. She dropped him in 2 movements, sidestep, strike to the side of the jaw. He crumpled. The rest hesitated, now seeing her not as myth or ghost, but as something worse. A truth they had been taught to fear. Before they could regroup, the facility-wide announcement system crackled to life. "This is Commander Vrelk," came the voice overhead. "Contain the human. Lethal force authorized. Any Carthari who sides with her will be marked a traitor." Rhea turned slowly toward the surveillance camera embedded in the ceiling. "Then mark them," she growled, "because the truth's already out." She uploaded the encrypted data burst she'd stolen earlier. Footage of her ambush, audio of Vrelk's betrayal, all of it, routed through the internal comm grid and beyond, beaming to every Carthari military channel, diplomatic relay, and civilian news net across the planet. Let them see the peace they had nearly buried. The lights overhead dimmed. Emergency lighting activated. Footsteps echoed beyond the far doors. Dozens, then hundreds. He was sending everything. Rhea moved quickly, rallying the shocked cadets inside. "Help me hold this chamber," she said. "This is your war now, too. One of honor, not deception." Some nodded. Others stood rooted, but they didn't fight her. It was enough. The far door slammed open. Vrelk himself strode through, flanked by elite guards in crimson armor. His face contorted with rage. "You're a virus," he snarled. "You came here to infect us with human weakness. But all you've done is prove our fear was justified." "No," Rhea replied, stepping forward. "I've proved that your fear makes you weak. You needed me dead to keep your lie alive." They stood at opposite ends of the training floor. The Carthari soldiers watched, unsure whether to fire. Vrelk drew his blade, an ancestral weapon, curved and blackened for battle. No more speeches. No more diplomacy. Let this end with blood. Rhea dropped the stolen rifle. "I didn't come here to kill you, Commander, but I will if I have to." She rolled her shoulders, ignoring the flaring pain in her joints. The exoframe on her leg hummed softly as it adjusted her stance. He charged. Steel met flesh. Their clash was brutal, fast, and personal. Rhea ducked the first swing, countered with an elbow to his throat. He recovered with a spinning strike that cut across her side. Metal met cybernetic plating, sparking. She grimaced, pivoted, landed a knee in his ribs. The cadets circled, watching in silent awe. This wasn't war. This was reckoning. Vrelk roared and brought his blade down hard. Rhea caught his wrist, twisted, disarmed him, and sent the weapon clattering across the floor. She didn't pick it up. She didn't need to. Instead, she drove her fist in his chest plate, once, twice, until the armor cracked and he fell gasping, defeated. The room was silent. Rhea stood over him, blood running from her mouth, her body screaming for rest. She didn't deliver a final blow. "I could kill you," she said, breathless. "But then I'd be just another soldier in your war. And I'm done fighting wars you start." She turned to the cadets. "The real strength of peace is restraint. Remember that." Outside, distant explosions echoed, protests erupting in Carthari cities as civilians and reformists, now awakened by our broadcast, rose against the old military order. Rhea collapsed to one knee, vision swimming. Soldiers poured into the chamber, but not Vrelk's. These wore the green crest of the Carthari Peace Council, responding to the truth she had forced into the light. Their medic knelt beside her. "Ambassador, you did it." She tried to smile. "No, we did." Epilogue. 2 weeks later, Rhea sat on the balcony of the Earth Embassy on Carthon Prime, wrapped in bandages, sipping broth she couldn't taste. The war was averted. The rogue faction dismantled. Vrelk imprisoned. Her superiors offered her reinstatement, a promotion, even command. She refused them all. Instead, she began to write. Peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from the strength to speak when others demand you vanish. I was sent as a diplomat. I became something more, not because I wanted to, but because no one else would. Rhea Morgan, Iron the Olive Branch.